Over the last 6 years, I've sold over $10 million worth of coaching, and I've worked with some of the biggest names in the industry. And we sold all of that with setters, closers, ads, VSLs, call booking, all that stuff. But in the last 90 days, we've done $658,791 in sales. But that's without setters, without closers. And the wildest part is our client quality has been at least 10 times better than it's ever been. But how they come in is what's really interesting. So all I get now is DMs like this. What up, John? Think I'm ready for your coaching. It's almost like everything that you wrote is exactly what I need. Wild, let's roll. And to be clear, this is a multiple 5-figure investment. And here's another one.
And I've been seeing your ads. You're a marketing machine, man. Like, I feel like I haven't even watched one of these videos in full, like just to be fully transparent. But after so long seeing Ravi and Elliot and all these guys that I look up to and the trajectory that I've seen them be on, I'm like, man, what am I doing? And the price point's very fair as well. So yeah, man, I'm in.
So I know it seems kind of too good to be true, and it probably argues with pretty much everything that you've learned up until this point. But in this video, I'm going to share with you as much as I can about what I've learned about how to effectively get clients to close themselves. And it all centers around the idea of creating propaganda content. Now, depending on when you're watching this video, I'm actually doing a workshop called The Propaganda Machine on Wednesday, October 22nd. The link will be below this video, and we're just gonna go real deep on the subject. So in this video, I'm gonna give you something to work with, but if you wanna see behind the scenes, the system that I'm using, the belief shifting framework, the retargeting, the sequencing, if you want me to actually tell you what I would do if I was in your shoes live on this workshop, go ahead, grab a seat. Links in the description. But whether you do that or not, if you're an online coach and you're basically chasing and trying to convince your prospects to buy from you, this could be, or aspects of this could be helpful for you to get your prospects warmed up, make it easier for you or your team to basically set and close them if you still run that model. I can tell you as a quick disclaimer, until you've really dialed in a setting, closing, manual sales process, selling without talking to humans basically is going to be really challenging for you. So just to set your expectations, it's been challenging for me, and I have been, well, I've sold over $10 million worth of coaching. So that said, first point I want to make here is the real sale should not happen on a call. It should happen before a call. So when somebody's scrolling, like you, when you found this video, or maybe you found this from, I don't know, some link, or maybe it was one of my retargeting propaganda pieces of content, you're probably watching this on your phone and you were scrolling and you said, maybe there's an easier way to do this thing that I'm trying to do. In this case, get clients, right? And think about your behavior too, right? Like, what do you do? How do you interact with stuff? Is what you're asking your clients to do what you would do, right? So that's a huge piece of this as well. What I've learned about my audience, you watching this, is rarely do you opt into something, right? Because you don't want to be on another email list. You don't want to get hammered with more marketing content. You may not even buy some sort of a low ticket thing because you know probably there's going to be a setter or a closer who's going to outbound you immediately and try to set you and do a whole discovery, and it's just like, fuck, I don't want to do that. So fortunately or unfortunately, the reality of the situation is you still have an issue. There's still a problem here, and there are still solutions out there, but it's kind of like what I've learned about my audience, and this is the key to this, is you want to make sure that everything that you do in your marketing is tailored to your audience and how they think, their psychographics, their demographics, how do they actually behave? Because what I share with you about what works for me because I'm very hyper specific on who I'm marketing to. And so if you were kind of taking cookie cutter solutions from all sorts of different places, they don't all apply to your business, just as a side note. So what I've learned is that you are a lurker. So even on this video, despite no matter how many times I go, like this video, comment on this video, let me know this thing. You're kind of wary probably on being attacked or hounded by a sales team, setter, closer, whatever. So what I have to do, and what probably will help you, is basically engineer a process where we're feeding the right content that allows you to consume and kind of build a trust and a relationship without necessarily giving off any indicators that you're a prospect. And so those DMs that I showed you at the beginning of this video, those people were basically lurking and consuming and consuming and consuming videos like this, or all the videos on the rest of my channel that you can check out about how to scale your online business in a way that doesn't suck quite as much. So sure, can we run cold traffic to an opt-in or a DM me? It's like, yeah, but they're going to be cold. They're going to be hard to convert. You're going to have to follow up like crazy. You're going to have to then babysit your team because the leads are going to be harder. It's going to require more skill, a skill that they don't have. And then you're going to have to train them, or whoever's managing your sales team is going to have to train them and review calls and review sets. And while that is all good stuff, if the bulk of your sale is happening and you're explaining your offer, you're explaining who you are, why they should trust you, if all of that is happening after they've booked a call or even after they've opted in, it's usually happening way too early in that relationship. And so what we want to do is we want to engineer a process that we effectively indoctrinate our audience so that they're sold on who we are, why they should care, why we're the best, all that stuff, so that when they do end up interacting with us, they're already primed, ready to roll. And so there's certain top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel audiences, content types that we need to basically implement so that we can warm people up in a leveraged fashion and not need to pay humans to do it and burn through leads and shit. So to do that, we need a propaganda machine, which is a content and retargeting ecosystem that is so systematically persuasive that your prospects become indoctrinated before they ever talk to you. And by the time they raise their hand, they've already consumed 7 hours of your content, adopted every belief necessary to buy, and eliminated every objection themselves so that they decide that you're the only choice. So the sale essentially becomes paperwork. They become order takers. You become an order taker. Your team becomes order takers. Or if you're like me, you get it to a point to where, well, you can kind of get them to buy a very high ticket thing without ever talking to a human. And to be fair, my process that I'm using is a ManyChat automation. So if you DM me the word bulletproof on Instagram, it's going to ask you some qualifying questions. If you're qualified, it's going to show you the offer info, and effectively you apply, and then I select, depending on how many seats I've got, I just select who I want to work with and get rid of the people that I don't. And to be very clear, I made another video on my channel where I reference this. Like, I do actually reject people, and it's been kind of different and weird, to be honest with you. Like, we're so used to taking credit cards and leaving money on, or not leaving any money on the table. And so it's been a different way of looking at this. But what I found, and maybe you've experienced this too, is if you ever signed a client that like absolutely sucked, or maybe like lots of clients that sucked, or your team signed them because they needed to earn a commission, and you're like, whatever, fuck it, sign them, we'll deal with it. And then that client ended up being a pain in the ass. And so you're like, oh, let's hire client success managers. So you hire client success managers who also kind of suck. They don't want to deal with the bullshit, and it ends up costing you more to fulfill on that client and handle all their bullshit than it did to actually collect on the cash of that client. And so we built our business to, we were doing over 400K a month. We had a team of 23. And not that all our clients were like, bad necessarily, but it got to the point to where I'm just like, I don't really want to hang out with most of my clients. And I didn't feel great about that. But given that like we're building this for longevity and we want to be doing this for a while, because I still believe it's the best, if not one of the best / easiest ways of making a really, really good income. But we got to do it in a way to where I think we work with the people that we really like working with. And so we need to put out content that does all of the attracting and warming up for us so that it speaks only to our ideal perfect target avatar. And that is the person that has paid us the most money, the highest lifetime value. We'd hang out with them for free. They do what we tell them to do, and they get the greatest results. So in your mind right now, think about who that is for you, right? What is their name, right? Not like the general, but what is their name? Great. That's who we need to talk to in all of this propaganda content, right? So my ideal target client is based on my best client case study in terms of all those criteria that I just mentioned, and that is Justin Saunders. He came to me 4 years ago doing $18K a month. He's now consistently doing over $400,000 a month. And we do hang out for free. He's probably paid me over those years somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 grand. And he's gotten a crazy return on investment. He's now an actual liquid millionaire. So what we do is we help our clients not just run ads and do content and stuff. Specifically, what we do in our philosophy is we look at everything like a map. So we decide, okay, where are you right now exactly? Where do you want to go? We reverse engineer the KPIs. What does the journey need to look like? How does the business need to be structured so that we can then just kind of like a GPS follow that blue line? And so the components of this are where are we going, the destination, which in my philosophy is how do we want to live? Why do we want to live that way? What exactly does that look like? How much is it going to cost? And then what is the accumulation number that we need? How much wealth do we need to accumulate, which we call our freedom number, in order to live that way for the rest of our lives, even if our coaching business completely shits the bed. So then, of course, the next component, once we know where we're wanting to go, how much that's going to cost, why we want to go there, we need to optimize the vehicle so that we can get there. And so this video right here is going to be optimizing the vehicle from the marketing and lead generation and nurture perspective. But we need to have a GPS, a tracking system, right? And so what we set our clients up on is this tracking system called TEDI, stands for Track, Evaluate, Decide, and Improve. And it just puts all your data in one dashboard so that we can make data-driven decisions. And when we make data-driven decisions, that's when really cool stuff happens. So I mentioned Justin, like here's his TEDI and his results. Here's Brandon Carter, right, from 250K to 600K a month. And a newer client, Roderick, from 20K to 85K a month. So when you make data-driven decisions, everything becomes much more straightforward. You can get a free demo of that with the link in the description. But just to give you context, we need a GPS. We need to know how fast we need to go, which is, in this case, your monthly income. We need to know how efficient we are, which is your profit margin, right? And how much effort it takes. So right now, my business top line is smaller than it was when we were doing, 400 grand a month, but my bottom line is now about to surpass what the bottom line was when we were super bloated with a team of 23. And it's just me, a VA, and occasionally my wife. So we're about to have our Q4 mastermind in Sarasota at the beginning of November. And so my wife is going to be like kind of the concierge type person, but that's really the extent of the team. And my clients don't need a whole lot of hand holding because I only work with online coaches that are already established, doing at least 20K a month. Our average client comes in doing around 50K a month. And right now, our total average from our entire client base is right around 120K a month is our average member. And so it's pretty straightforward when we add in proper tracking of both business KPIs and financial tracking. And we are able to make the business more efficient by optimizing the offer, the avatar, and what I'm sharing with you in this video, which, by the way, what I'm sharing with you in this video about my clients and showing you the program, explaining to you how my clients think and why they come to me, all of that is propaganda. It's training you on how to become a client. Hint. So that's just one of the very many ways that I'm using this content to basically get people like you to go, maybe I should work with John. Okay. So the next component that we really focus on is the driver, because you can have a very clear destination, the best vehicle, a dope GPS, be going the right speed, and be really efficient. But if you're drunk, there's a high probability that you're going to steer that bitch off the road and fuck yourself. So that's why you can grab a copy of this in the description. It's called The 7-Figure Mind Method. It's a book. You're going to get a digital copy, and there's actually a guided process at the end that we take our clients through a beefier version, but this is kind of a good solid starting point, a demo version where we're rewiring all the beliefs that keep our clients from, performing at their best, executing on what they know to do, and staying basically on that blue line. And the last part of this is, best analogy I could think of was AAA, the advisory, who you're going to call if you need help. And so when you have all of those components, we call that our bulletproof protocol. And it's those 7 components that we effectively optimize for our clients. Some have more, need for the mental side or the business side, optimizing the offer, the lead gen process. Some aren't clear on exactly where they're going or having their finances structured. And so we just take an inventory of our onboarding process and create a custom protocol where we're basically just like bolstering each one of these 7 areas so that on an ongoing basis, as you continue to optimize these things, things tend to get better. And I have other videos on the channel that go in more in depth on each one of these, but just to give you some context with where does this whole propaganda thing fit within our ecosystem. And I'm hosting this workshop because quite simply my clients had requested it. We hosted one last month called the Self-Closing Clients Workshop, where I talked about the whole model of what I'm doing. And I've since in the last 30 days improved that even more. And a huge part of that was this propaganda content, ad strategy, retargeting. And so my clients are like, can you do something on that? And so that's why I'm doing that. And that's why I'm making this video. So if you want to join us, cool. But what I really do is I do one long form video a week. And that is like this video that you're watching right now. And then I'm strategically cutting up clips from that. And I'm going to walk through like what softwares I use and how I do this really, really quickly. And then most importantly, the retargeting structure of how I'm taking this piece of content and basically adding it to my retargeting ecosystem and creating basically this propaganda engine that I continue to feed with my top of funnel. I run my self-liquidating offer funnel through this book funnel. And then I basically use that to feed the right people into my retargeting audience. And then just basically between short form videos and long form videos and email, I'm basically everywhere to the people that are being brought in to the ecosystem, whether they buy this book or not. Because I'm optimizing the Facebook pixel for purchases, it shows my ads to the right people. And I'm using my testimonial ads from my big name clients like Dan Henry, Eli Wild, Ravi Abuvala, Justin Saunders, Elliot Hulse. And those are the testimonials that are being shown to the people who go to check out the book. But even if they don't buy the book, they're now primed with, wow, this guy's worked with some big name people. Maybe he has some stuff that doesn't suck. And then I just retarget them with a whole bunch of content that is speaking directly to my ideal client avatar. And more importantly, repelling those who I don't want to work with. You've already established, at least mentally, while you're watching this or listening to this in passing, you've established who your ideal target client is. You've established what is their name, right? Now I want you to think of who's the one client that you're like, fuck them, right? What is their name, right? It's probably you don't want to hang out with them. They probably give you a hard time. They don't do what you tell them to do. They don't get very good results as an obvious byproduct of that. Who are they? What is their name? Because we want to repel them twice as much as we attract our ideal client avatar, right? So that's a part of this as well. So on this workshop, I'm going to be going over what are the metrics that we're looking for? What is the frequency that we're looking for? So I don't know where you're at in your journey of knowing who the fuck I am. Maybe you've been retargeted like crazy. Maybe this is the first time that you've been exposed to my universe, in which case, welcome. Glad you're here. Appreciate you. Check out our shit. Get in my retargeting audience. There's a frequency target that we want to hit so it appears as though, and it is rightfully so, we are in people's feeds very regularly so that we can get familiarity bias set in, right? And to be clear, like this content that I'm referring to is not call to action content. We're just optimizing for views of this content, but we need to do it in a specific way so that it shows the right content to the right people in a way that they're not like, oh my God, fucking this guy, right? So we want to make sure that we structure it correctly. Otherwise, you'll completely piss off your audience. So we don't want to do that. And that's what I'll be going into detail in on this workshop. And you can ask me questions and we can talk about it live. And I'm going to show you the back end of my ad account and how I have my audiences segmented. And the funniest part of this whole thing is the bottom of funnel, like the audience that's really in the meat of this propaganda machine that I've created, is at the time of this recording is only like 700 people. So it doesn't cost a lot of money to reach these people. And to that group of 700, it looks like, you know, I'm famous and everywhere, which to them I am. And that's the idea, right? So you don't need lots of people. You just need the right people. And then you need them to be in the right context, not just, hey, I have a big scary offer, buy it. Let me convince you, risk reversal. Then they become a pain in the ass client, right? I want you, if we ever work together, to come in as a client already having watched a video like this, maybe watching this video sales letter. But you can see here, even on this page right here, there's no opt-in because I know you're not going to opt in because you think I have a sales team that's going to attack you. Nobody's going to attack you. You can watch my VSL where I walk through exactly how our clients are scaling to consistent 50 to 100K a month in profit with less work, less team, and less stress, like we're talking about. So this propaganda piece is a component of that. And then you can just DM me the word bulletproof on Instagram to see the details. And so it even says here, my automation will send all the details. I don't have setters or closers. Ask me whatever you want, no pressure. Or I give them the option of consuming my YouTube channel. It's a very big key here. Not necessarily the fact that like, oh, you put the YouTube button below the fucking, no, that's not the point. The point is I'm optimizing for consumption. And then I give you video testimonials of people that you may or may not recognize, but these people are pretty big names in our industry, and you can hear from them instead of just hearing from me. So when we do all this, we don't need necessarily more leads. We just need to do better with nurturing and indoctrinating and, dare I say, brainwashing the leads that we already have so that they believe everything that we need them to believe in order to buy our stuff. And that starts with basically like Russell Brunson's big domino statement, right? If I can get these people to believe that this mechanism is the best way to get result and the only place to get that mechanism is inside of my thing, then all objections become irrelevant and they must buy, right? So everything should be engineered around selling a belief system and an identity system, not a product, a service, or a result, right? So key distinction here. So on this workshop, I'm going to be going in depth on all of that stuff. And I'm going to be going into whatever it is that you tell me that you want on a little survey. So big key here, survey your prospects and your clients and your target audience as much as you possibly can. Then take their words and repeat them back to them. So I'm doing this workshop because I asked my clients, yo clients, let me scroll in here and see where's my poll. By the way, these guys that you're seeing, this charge clearing thing, this is from our Bulletproof Mind system where it's trackable mental clearing basically that effectively eliminates stress and makes it to where you feel fucking better, and when you feel better you do better, long story short. And this 7-Figure Mind Method book is kind of the lead into that. Here is the poll. So here we go. On October 4th, 2 weeks ago, I said which one you want, and retargeting ads and content was it. So if my clients want it and you're like my clients, then that must mean that you're also interested in the same subject, and it allows you to effectively hang out for a couple hours, get a lot of value. I'm going to give you a bunch of shit and you can tell me what you need help with and I'm going to help you with it. And that will add to basically live content consumption. We can develop a relationship. The whole thing really takes me you know, a couple hours. So it's leverage for me. And then you can decide what you want to do from there. So the whole idea is like, I'm going to let all of my content do the heavy lifting for me. I'm just going to kind of lean out and just be like, look, if you're this type of person and you've bought lots of programs, but they're all kind of regurgitating everything that you already know, and your bank account isn't getting bigger every single month, you're stressed out, even if you're trying to convince yourself that you're not, and all you want is a business that runs itself and is really leveraged and really profitable and really predictable and automated, then DM me the word bulletproof on Instagram. Check it out, or don't, whatever. Right? You see how that's a different frame than trying to convince people or sell people, right? I'm going to let you consume my shit and let you sell yourself on either checking us out further or sell yourself on leaving my universe entirely, which is totally cool. If you watch this far, there's a high probability we vibe, because this is pretty much how I am, doing my best to be more authentic or whatever and less rambly in these types of videos, but trying to also make it easy on myself to actually make these. So that's another key, is like set yourself up to not make content creation super big and arduous and challenging and with a whole bunch of bullshit. So going back to this page here, it says you're here because you're tired of watching people with half your skill make twice the money just because they have better marketing. And it's just understand, better marketing isn't always, in fact, the more that time goes on, it's less about driving more direct response traffic to you. It's more about developing a relationship. And I think this little side tangent, I think this gets a little bit misconstrued, whereas like we're building coaching businesses so that we can make, you know, 7 figures a year and take home profit and build our wealth doing something that we love to do. And I think sometimes the idea that we have to build some like big corporation, although that's possible in the coaching space, like at least where I am right now, could change this. Stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay tuned on where my head's at. And I'll give you a perfect example. A couple of years ago, I went off on a tangent of building these Teddy systems, and it was me and a small team, and I made $1,000,000 with the Teddy system like real fast because we had such demand, because tracking is such a big issue in this industry. And for about a year, that's pretty much all we did. And I made more money than I've ever made. And it was like the easiest money ever. But it was the most thankless done for you work ever. It was just constant, endless requests of, can you customize this? What about that? And just no. I didn't get the, wow, you changed my life. Like all of those pretty much went away. And so for me, I like that feedback. You know, I kind of thrive off that. Whereas I thought I wanted to basically kind of not talk to people. There was a time after the first 1,000 clients where I was just like, I don't think I want to talk to anyone anymore. And then I did just that and just like went in data mode. And it just kind of sucked. And so since then, I have been basically optimizing for who do I want to really dig in deep with that is going to be awesome. And so that's pretty much the premise of why I built the Bulletproof Boardroom. The way that I've built it is so that we can make data-driven decisions and not have a whole bunch of volatility. We can be really efficient, because when you make data-driven decisions, everything becomes hilariously more efficient and it becomes really straightforward to scale. It's impossible to scale without being data-driven, to be very clear. I take that back. You could get lucky. So that's the other alternative option. And so I'm just like, I just want my clients to be able to give me their business metrics, and within 30 seconds I can go, here's where we need to focus, this is the bottleneck, ignore everything else, and then here's the actual tactics that I know very, very well to actually improve each one of those KPIs. And so most of my clients don't have a problem with the mechanics of like generating leads. It's just like the lead quality is poor, for example, right? So got to fix that. And then we need to warm these leads up so that by the time they actually like get in a sales situation or opportunity with the team or whoever's doing the selling, that it's actually easy. And so we have resources on all of that. This channel is dedicated to that. I give away a lot of really good shit on this channel. But that's how I wanted to build the boardroom, is just in a way to where I didn't grow to hate it, and made it really straightforward for me in a very small amount of time to make an enormous impact for my clients. And so that's why I only optimize for a very hyper-specific type of client. And that's why we do things pretty much the way that we do things. But I digress. The big idea of this whole propaganda thing is we just want to use content and the retargeting opportunities that we have with these social platforms, specifically Meta, for the retargeting advertising side of things, and then obviously YouTube long form, to drive people to, like you on this, that you can have the opportunity at least to binge the rest of this channel. And you can see here too, I want to point this out, despite the fact that we've done $650,000 in sales in the last 90 days, people kind of look at my content and they're like, how come you only have 300 views, 200 views, 600 views? You know, this one's the biggest one with 788 views, right? At least the biggest of the recent ones. Now, if you go into my history or whatever, like podcast interviews and shit with people who obviously, like Brandon, 31,000 views, that's great. But the people that are following Brandon are 99.9% not my ideal target client. So that video, the only thing that it really did for me was show that like I'm not a nobody. Now, granted, took Brandon's business from 250K a month to over 600K a month. So it wasn't that he just did a favor, right? And we did that by straight up being data driven. I digress. My point is the type of content that gets made and then how it gets distributed and who sees it is way more important than vanity metrics or view volume. And for even more context, a few years ago, I did a shout out on my Instagram, and I think it completely fucked up my algorithm. And I got like 20,000 followers, but they were all the wrong people. And now Instagram doesn't know who to show my content to. And it's like, well, do I start a new channel? Do I start a new Instagram page? And I just decided I was going to bypass the algorithm and retargeting, segmentation, force feed the right content to the right people like you. So if you found this and you're an online coach, you're doing at least 20K a month, you've bought shitloads of programs, your wealth is not growing every month, you're stressed out, and you're really busy hustling, grinding, and you have no time on your hands, and you're sick of babysitting, whether it's your clients or your team or whatever, you're a perfect candidate for the Bulletproof Boardroom. So that's who I'm talking to, right? So anyway, I digress. If you want to create a propaganda machine for your business so they show up ready to buy, not ready to object, I'm going to show you the complete system on October 22nd. If you're not ready for that, that's totally cool. If that's the case, I'd like to invite you to check out this video where I walk through the complete 7-figure coaching blueprint. And when I talk about that, I mean 7 figures profit. So where we're getting 50 to 100K a month in take-home profit, and then taking that profit and turning it into actual wealth in the bank account so that you can join the Real 2 Comma Club. And that is having 2 commas in your bank account, not on your Stripe screenshot. If you made it all the way to the end, more power to you. Check out the shit in the description, the rest of the channel, all that stuff. If you want to see the offer details of how we work in our boardroom and shit, DM me the word bulletproof on Instagram. That's linked below as well. Yeah, thanks so much for watching, and hope this was helpful. See you in the next one.